Before we get into this video, I want to address the use of the word fat to describe people, especially in this context. As someone who's been categorized as bigger my entire life, I don't think that fat is a bad word unless society admits to thinking of fat people as less. In this context, this is not a derogatory or bad word, but rather facing fat phobia and hate head on. For centuries, the value of the human experience has been affected in drastic ways by the experience of having a body, due to the amount that society values, or doesn't, certain bodies. Dating culture is another aspect of life that has been changed and reshaped in the past few centuries. Within these walls of dating culture, we bear witness to one of the most aggressive diseases of hate, fat phobia. Throughout the dating experience, people, especially women, are addressed and sexualized due to the way that their bodies present, leading to bullying, stigma, fetishization, and hate around fat, overweight, or plus-sized bodies, specifically in heterosexual relationships. In order to fully understand this concept, we will discuss the origins of fat phobia in general, how it shows up in dating culture, and examples of hope that have been a huge part of my own self-care journey lately. It's important to use a consistent definition of fat phobia. For the purposes of this video, fat phobia will be defined as the implicit and explicit bias of overweight individuals that's rooted in a sense of blame and presumed moral failing. This definition comes from the Boston Medical Center website, which is an organization that sees the effects of fat phobia day in and day out, as it leads to eating disorders and a plethora of other psychological and physical health issues. To people like us in 2023, it may feel like fat phobia and the tie between the body and inherent value has been around forever. While the experience of having a body has been a topic of conversation since the beginning of time, the consistent and unforgiving culture of fat phobia didn't really exist until Protestantism came about. With the rise of the Protestant Christian Church, also came a rise of a temperance movement and warnings against overindulgence. Those who were overweight were seen as overindulgent and therefore inherently sinful. These harmful ideas were furthered even more as slavery continued in the United States, a system completely built on the use and abuse of the black body. Side note, this is a concept that's explored in depth in Sabrina String's book, Fearing the Black Body, which is a text that's incredibly useful in better understanding the origins of hate and how these ideologies translate across time. I don't have time to fully unpack that now, but it's definitely important to understanding what is actually going on here. Back to what I was saying before, that is a vital part of the conversation to address that while fat phobia plagues so many bodies, it's so heavily targeted towards women and especially hyperactive towards women of color. The sexualization of these bodies throughout history for different reasons has led to value being tied solely to the sexual and aesthetic value of the female body. Since then, history has been the witness to all of the ways that these societal beliefs of hate have been furthered with the marketing of diet culture, diet campaigns, the use of filters and photoshops and social media, and they're all used to distort and shape the image of beauty and what it, quote, should be. Bringing us to present day, fat phobia and dating culture specifically can be a difficult topic to tackle because of the way it's been normalized and embedded in good intentions in order to benefit these cycles of hate. When speaking specifically on the way that fat phobia shows up in the language used to describe the female body and the way it exists in relationships, the language doesn't always show up as harmful as it actually is under the surface. Because of this hidden code that's used around fat people, fat phobic individuals are able to, quote, weed out fat people from their lives and in this age, their dating apps. There are some key phrases that tend to show up when we talk about key wordings used for this purpose. Let's take a look at some of these examples on TikTok.
Would you date someone that was overweight?
I don't think so, to be honest. I probably wouldn't, just because, I take care of myself, so I'd want the person that I'd be with to take care of themselves.
And would you date someone that was overweight?
I'd probably say no. I don't know. I guess I just like being active, and having someone to be active with would be really fun. And I don't know. I guess that's just kind of my type. Just kind of that more slim, thick type, if you know what I mean.
Would you date a plus-size girl? No? Why?
It's just not appealing to the eyes. Plus, I'm a kinesiology major, so it's I hit the gym every day, run every day, and it's and especially for me, I don't know for other people, but since activity is my lifestyle, I'm gonna need to keep up with me, honestly speaking. I don't want to go into the science of it, but there is ways to lose the weight, but find a way. There's always a way.
At first, this language shows up as dating preference, but under the surface, it's making a much deeper and more sinister argument, using language like fit or lifestyle or someone who cares about themselves to describe people who are viewed as skinny makes its own claim about fat people, implying that they don't care about themselves or they don't exercise or that they live in an overindulgent lifestyle. Remember that conversation about Protestantism beliefs around temperance and overindulgence? Yeah. Using this language completely invalidates those who have health problems that lead to them carrying weight in a specific way, people who feel healthiest and happiest at a heavier weight, those who are facing issues much deeper than the way their body holds calories, or even people that are just fine with their bodies. Ironically, it's the same individuals who are using this language and hiding behind preference that are usually secretly fetishizing and sexualizing the fat body most. It wouldn't take long when talking to a plus-size woman to hear her say something along the lines of, fat people are not seen as pretty enough to date, but pretty enough to secretly have sex with, which is clearly explored in a The Cut article that I found, written about the story of a fat woman that, unfortunately, isn't uncommon at all. This idea of keeping the sexual desires of and for fat women hidden shows up on some of the nation's most watched screens, as fat people everywhere lately have brought dating shows into the conversation. Plus-size people have been pushing really hard for more variation of bodies on dating shows like The Bachelor, Love Island, Love is Blind. Because, to be honest, fat people fuck too, which as they should. But what would a world look like in which fat people, and fat women specifically, didn't have to fight so hard for their humanity and sexuality to be acknowledged? When we hear stories about fat phobia, it can be difficult to find some sort of light at the end of the tunnel. Fat phobia and all stigmatized ideologies rooted in hate lead to individuals feeling isolated, alone, and less than. But there are some women and non-binary folks who are taking the narrative back and deciding that having a body is a beautiful experience, regardless of what society thinks your body is worth. This is showing up in all kinds of ways, thank God for the internet, but seems really present and consistent on TikTok. Every day on feeds all over the world, we see Eat With Me videos, which are made specifically for people struggling with food and disordered eating, a direct result of fat phobia and dieting culture. Keep scrolling. You will see all kinds of videos from all kinds of women showing what real bodies that carry food and stress in real ways look like. These women are willing to challenge the idea that your value equates to your body, and they've decided that living is more important than worrying about what your body looks like. But it's not just on social media. The market is changing too. Clothes play a huge role in how people view their own bodies and the bodies of other people, and this is especially shaped by how these clothes are marketed and sold. This used to have a really negative impact on people's mentality, but that's changing because of brands like Yitty. Yitty is Lizzo's brand, which means it's a clothing brand made for all women, but specifically marketed to plus-size women, created by a plus-sized woman. This type of visibility and acceptance is clear throughout the brand, with how the clothes are modeled and even down to details like the order in which sizes are listed online. But there has been one example of body positivity that has blown up on the internet recently, and it's the cutest thing ever, so I'm going to leave you with this. A queer couple singing about why having a body isn't as scary as it feels like it is, even in a world full of hate.
If I were a fish and you caught me, you'd say, look at that fish, shimmering in the sun, such a rare one, can't believe that you caught one. If I were a fish and you caught me, you'd say, look at that fish, heaviest in the sea, you'd win first prize if you caught me. Why is everybody on the internet so mean? Why is everybody so afraid of what they've never seen? If I was scrolling through and I saw me flopping around and singing my song, I'd say, damn, they're cute and sing along.